What's up, everybody? Jordan Stewart here from Vover. Thanks so much for tapping into the Vover Original Show. Just a reminder that if you want to drop your opinions about the episode or respond to the host and guests with your voice, go and download the Vover app wherever you get your apps. Vover, voice over everything. Enjoyed the show.
Today is the day, new seasons, new beginnings. We will go rapid fire on keys to the early part of the campaigns in the Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, and, that league that PSG dominates, the one in France. Let's pump the brakes, though, for a second on just handing them the Champions League trophy. It's Chelsea's to hold until it isn't, and Man City with a forceful rebound from that disappointing end with the Champions League final loss after a dominant Premier League season will be part of the early intrigue in store. Liverpool, too. And, if the Ole G show can keep progressing, we want to keep an eye on that, as this is the Friday edition of Vover FC, the sound of world football here on Vover. Voice over everything. New domestic league seasons in Europe, as we will go deep into Spain and La Liga with our This is La Liga segment in just a bit. I'm Laurence Scott, and back to Man City. Jack Grealish in. Great. For sure he's exciting, but Pep still has the most stacked squad in world football, perhaps outside of Paris. And, we say that not so much about the three-headed monster, obviously, Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, but I've got to say, Navas in goal as Donnarumma watches, kind of like Brett Favre playing while Aaron Rodgers looked on. It can't last too long, but, that's why PSG really might be neck and neck with Man City, if that's possible, in the talent department. And, of course, it's something that can be up for debate, but the window is still open, so we'll leave it there for now. On a day, though, where Arsenal and Brentford open the Premier League with a London derby, we have to acknowledge the champs, Man City, and how Pep didn't really want that Zinchenko talk last season about a quadruple, if you remember that. But, they were in the hunt, so not so clear-cut this time around, but they have the horses. Chelsea has that swagger, though, and another striker. It's Lukaku time, and as an aside, seeing how Inter fares, winning Serie A and now missing some key parts, who does that open the door for? But back to Premier League, Man United, they're the other heavyweight here who had been punching above their weight, but now have put on the pounds with Varane bolstering things. And if Pogba, can be fooled into thinking that he's playing for France, who knows? I mean, they aren't too far behind, but in the end, it's anticipated that tactics will catch up to them, and culture. As this unfolds, we'll hammer it home more, but don't forget, Liverpool, they've got that culture, they've got the players, and of course the manager, and a certain Virgil van Dijk ready to make last season a distant memory. And if we say too much about Bundesliga now, it would be pretty much wasted breath. But as Bayern opens on this Friday against Mönchengladbach, do keep an eye on the dawn of the Julian Nagelsmann era, and if it opens up even more goals for Robert Lewandowski, if that is at all possible, okay? Now, for a true certainty, it's time for our deep dive in Spain. This is La Liga, powered by Green Park, and with a new season, we are at a major inflection point in the competitive balance of La Liga. And this goes well beyond a new-look FC Barcelona, because La Liga really is headed into an era, it seems, that will model the NFL. On this edition, we'll talk about parity and how it relates to not just this opening weekend, but the entire season, the seasons ahead, because for years, it truly has been a 2 to 3 team race annually. And this isn't going to change overnight because of any one transcendent player leaving a club, but it will be gradual. And it does seem to be happening. And this may mean, in the end, more fierce competition for Champions League and Europa League spots, but in the seasons ahead, do look for some new domestic champions in Spain, and thus back to the NFL. Perhaps it was the first Panthers Super Bowl, the one versus the Patriots, who of course won, and a Super Bowl really best remembered for Janet Jackson and a wardrobe malfunction at halftime at the hands of JT. But that Super Bowl wasn't the Jake Delhomme Super Bowl or the Julius Peppers Super Bowl like the one where Von Miller and Denver did what they did to the Panthers later. This was nebulous. It was up in the air. It was all throughout the playoffs, really, that led to the Super Bowl where the Patriots won. But you had this feeling like any team on not just any given Sunday, but any team could get to the Super Bowl and win. And this was a real change. In the late 90s, the NFL really had to consider competitive balance after years upon years where the NFC Championship was the Super Bowl. The Niners or the Cowboys, the Packers, Washington, or the New York Giants taking down the AFC team. And we went back and looked. It was like 13 consecutive Super Bowl wins for the NFC. And in that span, 6 of 8 Super Bowls were won by either San Francisco or Dallas. Sounds a lot like Real Madrid and FC Barcelona ruling La Liga. And that's why Atletico Madrid as champions this past season and in 2014 was so notable for this squad under, the greatness of Diego Simeone, because 3 teams have won each La Liga season for the past 17 seasons. Atleti with 2 of them, Barca with 10, Real Madrid 5. 2004 was when Valencia won. But now, on a day that begins a new campaign with Valencia and Getafe kicking things off, there are a ton of questions at the top, and competitive balance is becoming part of this picture. So this time around on This is La Liga, we will keep the focus on the 3 clubs that have won the past 17 titles and, do it with why they'll do it again or why they won't kind of structure. And, we'll start with FC Barcelona here. And, we don't really have to bury the lead. It's pretty obvious. And, we'll say it's going to be hard to win La Liga this campaign because of the obvious. And, just look at the midfield then. How about Pedri? A true sensation. And for Koeman to get through the early part of the schedule and up to the international break, they will have to run Pedri's legs off. But he has logged a ton of minutes for Spain at the Euros and most recently the Olympics. He's young, he's 18, he's holding up. So he is key here, as is Busquets. And this, to me, is really why this is going to be the challenge for Barca this campaign. It's not overall talent, because there is plenty of talent there. It's just depth and injuries going in. And, those injuries, are they really in the same neighborhood as what Liverpool was dealing with last season? Yeah, kind of. But maybe it won't go on quite as long. And simply, how nice would it have been for Ronald Koeman to have Ansu Fati ready to go and roll right now? But it is time for Griezmann to step up. They're paying him. And Ter Stegen, you can't underestimate him. It's hard to not forget Ter Stegen when we talk so much about Courtois and Oblak when it comes to total control in goal in La Liga. But really, this is a good jumping off point here to get to Real Madrid, as we'll say this final thing about Barca, and a lack of depth beyond a very talented 11 or so is why they won't win La Liga. But if they do, it will not so much be the masterwork of Koeman, but I bet something more like a spirit that was born from having great talent that's still in the club and maybe a bit of reckless abandon, not desperation, but going into it to show the world, hey, we can do this post-Messi, and Sunday on ABC, all that begins versus Real Sociedad. So now to Real Madrid. Less questions about available talent, maybe not in full force this opening weekend, but just like the midfield we spoke of for Barca, defense could very well be the Achilles heel. And for Courtois, you expect some rougher seas ahead. Choppy waters with Varane now with Man United, and Ramos, who was injured, yes, for most of last season, now with PSG. But that central defense is going to be make or break, it seems. So why they can win La Liga, Ancelotti, and he's magical with a personal touch with players, and Karim Benzema. He has been firing on all cylinders, one of the real bright spots the last few seasons for Real Madrid, of course, but we saw this certainly on display with France at the Euros. He was simply awesome, and it was a big season ahead here for the likes of Luka Modric and, Toni Kroos, who, we're hoping can return to full health soon. But Vinny, too. I mean, Vinny Jr. will have to weigh in. And then you get to the true X factors here for if one of these two things can click, it will be big for Real Madrid. And it's Bale and Eden Hazard. And, X factors, I don't know. If one of them could just turn back the clock, it could be Real Madrid's title. And then on top of all of that, don't forget what David Alaba is going to have to do to help with the defense, moving over from Bayern and being called upon to provide some stout defense here. He's extremely talented, and that will be certainly key. So also in Madrid, you're dealing with essentially the same squad that won the last time around, and Diego Simeone may very well figure out ways to not make it 1-0 victories centered around defense this time around, and they just may let it rip, and that could be fun. I mean, of course, the Simeone Admiration Society is here on this program. We love the man in black, from his days as a player with Atleti to what he's done as a manager to build a legit culture. And if Jan Oblak can have the kind of season that he's beyond capable of, this truly is the People's Choice Award for La Liga champion among neutrals. I mean, they are, sure, often hard to watch, but with Luis Suarez, it was really fun. And then you get the others in the mix here. And Sevilla, obviously a great story with Lopetegui advancing the program, leaps and bounds. Villarreal with Unai Emery, Europa League glory, beating Manchester United. That was cool. Almost got Chelsea a few days back. Real Betis and Pellegrini, I watched some of their preseason action from Marbella. They are tough. Real Sociedad, a measuring stick match in week 1 for them against Barcelona. Competitive balance is the key here to long-term success. La Liga is making this a priority, it seems. And, back to that NFL comparison, think of the Super Bowls since the late 90s. I mean, there have been some epic Super Bowl games. And of course, the La Liga champion is crowned without a playoffs, but that's even more of a reason that the schedule should be competitive throughout. This season will be a ton of fun. We are thrilled to be bringing you the stories of La Liga. We're back with more This is La Liga, powered by Green Park, very soon. Do enjoy those openers and have a great weekend ahead.